India is really moving ahead. The other countries should copy the best practice from India rather than tell India that you're somewhere behind us.
Meet George. He's from Russia, has lived in Africa and Kazakhstan and moved to India 2 years ago to do business. George explains the biggest misconceptions in the West about India, whether Russians and Indians are close to each other, and why India is so advanced technologically. I'm Max, an entrepreneur and YouTuber from Singapore. Let's go!
I believe in India, so I didn't know the cultural specifics before I arrived, but I would say that there are a lot of cultural advantages over here what make me believe that macroeconomically India will grow long time, much longer than China. Because frankly speaking, Chinese, they're atheists, they don't believe in God, they are not religious. Maybe due to communist regime, I don't know what was before the communist regime. This is leading to the fact that their population is currently in decline. It's not about urbanization. I think if we compare urban and rural population split between India and China, yeah, maybe India has a bit higher rural, but not twice. It's not about the people who don't want to have children in the city. It's not about it. It's about the lifestyle, it's about the beliefs. So Indians are much more religious than, I would say, any other nation I've seen in the world. And their values, I hope, will be strong and they will be able to continue running their families properly because they have the lowest divorce rate in the world. Frankly, to grow the economy, you need the population growth. Because you see what is happening in Japan, already 8 or maybe 10 years, they're going down with their population.
Yeah.
They would never be able to grow the economy because anyhow it's based on consumption.
Yeah, they even changed like the immigration laws recently because they cannot keep up with the population level.
If you compare different parts of India, in some parts there is no population growth. It keeps stable. In the other parts, it's a growth. But anyhow, in general, they are growing, and also they're very, very flexible to move across the country. They are much more flexible than any European nation. Maybe they are like Americans, so they can give up and jump and fly to another city with a family or without family if he's not married, and just settle down there if there is some incentive on the salary side. If it seems lucrative for a person, he can really relocate. And in my team, I would say that all the managers, they are not from the south. They came from different parts of the country. Some came from the north. The other guys came from northeast, like Calcutta. Really, people are flexible. And it is also really an interesting market to be at because it is growing. Some new technologies arrive. UPI, it is active how many? Maybe 8 years or 7 years. But I would say this is the most top-notch technology in the world. Do we have anything in Europe, or continental Europe? Forget about Russia. Do we have anything in US with instant payments across the country and almost for free? Because for small tickets, RBI, Central Bank of India, covers all the costs. You know that in India you can do payments via WhatsApp. So it's embedded feature, but the ticket is low, about 2,000 rupees, but usually in your regular life you don't need more. So I'm saying that from financial technology point of view, from the regulation point of view, India is really moving ahead, and the other countries should copy the best practice from India rather than tell India that you're somewhere behind us.
What do you think the biggest misconceptions in the Western world, or also in Russia, about India? What people don't get about India?
I think the major misconception is pretty simple, that it is dangerous. Dangerous from, let's say, hygienic point of view, that you can get some extreme disease here, that it's as dangerous as in Africa. But believe me, it is not, because I live there and I live here. India, if you follow very simple rules, is not dangerous from any disease point of view at all. It's not like some African countries, because it's malaria free. Also, it's yellow fever free. I mean, the major diseases for Africa are those. The second perception is that India is extremely poor everywhere. It is not extremely poor. And frankly speaking, we were traveling a lot to different small towns, to different villages. I mean, just to enjoy the locations, to enjoy the mountains. The neighborhoods are clean. Once they get some money, extra money, they are making proper maintenance, and they are kind of upgrading their houses. So I would say that those two major misconceptions from Russian side to the India. Why I'm saying about misconceptions? Because I was trying to invite my friends of mine to travel here, and most of them are not open for that. We just got 2 people within 2 years who arrived, and one of them arrived twice because she said, "Oh, it's really nice. We can enjoy life here."
And it seems like I've not traveled outside of big cities yet, but it seems like it's different. Like what people see in the big cities.
Let me tell you the truth, because it's not like my thoughts. It's just what some Indian business people told me. You are a guest because you are not staying here like me. And there is a proverb, I don't know in Hindi or like Canada how it sounds, but in English it sounds like guest is a god. Attitude to guests is really great. Much better than attitude to expats who are running business or have some job here. And really being a guest, a tourist, it is preferable. You'll enjoy life. For instance, my wife was traveling many times before we relocated to different destinations in India. And for instance, she was traveling even by local public transportation, not private cab. And never anything happened to her. Like all the locals were very helpful. They were saying, "Madam, please watch out, hide your pocket," something like that. They were always giving advice, and they were always taking care about her. And she's not speaking English well, but they did their best to support her.
What's the one best thing for you about living here in India?
The best thing is wildlife in the city. Well, you can have a look from our windows. So in the morning after 6 p.m., different birds start singing.
You can hear it, yeah? That's the wildlife that we're talking about.
And it's really nice. Maybe it's not nice on the business day, once you want to sleep well, but it's really nice during weekend. And even once we've seen a monkey passing by. Because it is the city center, you understand?
Yeah.
12 million or maybe even more people around. Where you would get the same? Nowhere in the world. In Lagos, it's not possible because they've eaten all the monkeys. No, I mean, I'm serious.
Literally eating, yeah. Normally you see like the noise around and many like places here, but it's super.
This side we have a school, and right now we don't hear any of the pupils. Maybe it's even a summer break. Further to the school, there is a large territory of a mosque. You see the mosque over there.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, there is no sound coming from this side.
When you come to India first time, it feels like it's complete chaos. But then you realize it's not really chaos, so it's organized, but organized in their unique way.
There are some other rules. If you, for instance, take the traffic over here, you can get used to it. You just need to understand how they behave. Because yes, the greatest shock for me was that a car can drive any direction on the road. It doesn't matter that the opposite line, proper direction, it doesn't matter. So once you cross the road, you should look both left and right, because you don't know where some driver can come from. But at the same time, they are not driving fast, and really it is not at least here in Bangalore, it is not dangerous. It could be dangerous somewhere at the high roads where they're driving fast, but not in the city. You can cross the roads, and frankly, I know a lot of expats who bought bikes and who are driving in this hectic traffic themselves here. So it's not a problem because you just need to watch out, be cautious, attentive, and everything will be fine.
I interviewed this French guy. He's been in India like forever, more than 15 years. And he actually ride the bike here. And he told me like he enjoy more riding a bike in Mumbai, in the city, compared to riding somewhere like outside, because it's like a video game. It's like, it's interesting, you know?
Okay, maybe I don't know about Mumbai. Maybe it's a bit more hectic than here. Maybe it's more risky.
It's
I
more
can't
traffic,
comment.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's faster,
But
more highways.
Yeah, over here the issue is pretty simple. The traffic is not high. It is just wrong perception by people who don't live locally and who didn't live in several countries. It's just a narrow roads. Because in the city center, all the roads were built by the British. And then sometimes it was possible to upgrade and make it wider. Sometimes it's not because like many buildings around and so on. That's why local authorities, they're doing their best. And I see that the connectivity improves, that some new tunnels, flyovers, they launch it. But sometimes you just need to know that you don't travel to the airport at the traffic time. That's it.
Yeah, I heard actually from a few people that Bangalore is kind of nice place for foreigners.
Bangalore really went up. So once we arrived, the rent was maybe across the city, based on the Indian statistics, it was about 30% less than now. Because there is a huge inflow of different professionals. I'm not saying solely IT or finance, but there is industrial production, some manufacturing sites across the city and around it. So maybe 500,000 people arrived since then, and it is pumping up the rent prices for all the segments, for expensive apartments, middle-class apartments, cheap apartments, all the prices went up.
This is like beautiful apartment that you have. So basically that was, can you share how much it cost?
About 1.5 lakh.
You check like 40 places before you found this one.
Yes, because you know, like some of them were noisy. Some of them, the quality of renovation was not good. Because the issue in India that people can build extremely nice apartments, but they don't maintain them well. So maintenance is some art. So the guy who is the owner of the building, he knows this art. Yes, the maintenance for the whole building is done well.
This is considered to be like more premium kind of.
I would say that there are two top premium locations, and this is not the one. Okay, maybe three. The one is UP City. If you want to live in skyscraper, you can do. But the prices are crazy. Could be 5 lakh, could be 7 lakh, could be 9 lakh per month for rent. Then there is a nice, really nice area called Defense Colony in Indiranagar. My office is nearby Defense Colony, but over there the prices are too inflated. You can't really find anything really nice below 2.5 lakh per month, because a lot of foreigners are willing to live there, and a lot of Indian expats, people who came back from the other countries, are willing to live there. So that's why really there are auctions. You can come, and like after you another tenant comes, and before you there was another tenant, and they're saying, okay, how soon you're gonna pay, and what will be your price increase? I'm not gonna go into any of those negotiations like that. Bye.
Yeah, and Indians like to negotiate, as far as I see.
This is nice. No, this is really nice. And if you are not in a hurry, it's a nice process to negotiate. They are not insulted by negotiation, and they are not as tricky as Nigerians. Because in Nigeria, I knew the way, so I just cut the price by 5. The price which was announced by the trader, I cut by 5, and he's saying that he is astonished, he's insulted, but then he jumps up, I go down again, and we arrive to some price. Over here, usually, if it's a professional world, if you come, for instance, for some consulting contract, in the case, you should not expect any discount below maybe 15 or 20%. Usually it's less, usually it's 8 to 10, but anywhere you can get a discount.
Yeah.
If it is some open market, or if it is, let's say, private shop, you can expect a discount of like 20 to 30%, depends how much you buy. For some wholesale deal, they provide discounts. For instance, once we were buying carpets, so we got, I don't remember, 4 or 5 in a one go. So my wife was able to get 45% discount.
Nice.
Bangalore is more like, I don't know, modern American cities, or more like, even if you take, I don't know, modern Central Asian cities. As for me, the difference is pretty simple. First, you don't see such extreme poor people here. So in Bangalore, it's not like in Mumbai, where you see billionaires and, I don't know, 1 kilometer away you see slums. You don't have really very poor people in the slums here at all. Yes, there are poor people, there are few districts where they live, but in general, the average split of income, it is much more condensed. Mumbai, it's much more extreme between the poor and the rich. Here, there are plenty of rich people, but first of all, they don't show off. It's more like American style. It doesn't matter whether you use Maybach or you arrive by Toyota, but in Mumbai and in Delhi, they are more used to posh life.
India is picking up like quickly in terms of like the growth of economy. It's kind of supposed to be all in the countries who are getting rich quickly. Recently, the new money arrives and the new rich. It was the same in Russia, like back then, 20 years ago. They kind of will be showing off and demonstrating their money. But interesting that it's not the case here.
It could be the case for lower middle class. I mean, the people who, for instance, can't afford to buy a phone worth 1 lakh rupees, but they do it using a loan. But it was the same in Russia. I think it was the same because, you know, like the poor pretending to get to jump up, so they want to show off. While the proper rich, they don't need to prove that they are rich, because everyone in the community anyhow knows it. So they say, "Hi, Mr. X, welcome."
True. They stay low key. Yeah, interesting. Like I remember I was a Gucci brand manager in Moscow like 12 years ago. I was in Procter & Gamble. And I remember I met someone from like our partners. It was like the publishing house, I think. And so the director of this publishing house, she actually explained, so we have assistants. The assistant salary is like $500 a month. But she get a loan to buy a Gucci bag for like 2K just to be inside of this, like the vibe of like luxury and blah, blah, blah.
There are not so many posh stores. In UB City, there's just a location where you can find Louis Vuitton and so on. Across the city, in the other malls, there are no luxury stores. There are stores for the upper middle class, definitely, and the quality of the goods is really nice. But at the same time, the brands are pretty simple, like Levi's and so on. Not something crazy expensive. All the crazy expensive brands, they're around UB City.
Hey guys, just a quick announcement. Don't skip. I'll be running a 3-day workshop called Fast Track to Views and Profits on YouTube. If you ever wanted to start your own channel, this is the best way to do it. You will learn how to choose the most profitable niche and how to beat the YouTube algorithm. You're gonna love it, I promise. Link in description, so sign up if it's for you. And now back to the video.
Speaking about the differences or similarities compared to Russia, what do you think? The Russians and Indians, they are close to each other in terms of how they think, how they take decisions and stuff. What's the similarities, what's the differences?
Regarding the differences, I would say that Russians are more, our way of thinking is more closer to the Western world. So we are more individuals and we really don't take into account the impact of our decisions on the kind of environment on the world. I'm not saying like environmental friendly, nothing of the kind. environment means people around. So, I mean, everything what happens around you. Over here, first thing, people are much more family focused. I would not say that they are friends focused, they are exactly family focused.
Yeah.
Because they have much closer ties with their parents, with their brothers and sisters, with their children.
Yeah.
And that's why when making any decision, they take into account any impact on the family. This is the first thing, because how many Russians do provide some cash support to their parents on a monthly basis? I think less than 10%. This is just a guess, maybe even 5%. I think in India, this is above 50. So children, once they start earning, they really support the parents or may even share all their income with the parents, and then the parents get them back some money as a kind of pocket money. So, okay, Sonny, you can use it to go out. So this is, you see absolutely different picture. We are much more individual. This is my personal view, that this pace of living, that we are more hurrying up. We are trying to achieve the project goals. Doesn't matter whether it's professional project or some personal family project. We try to achieve at a certain deadlines. Indians care more that they achieve in general. So some delay doesn't matter. Maybe this is caused by some attitude to multiple lives and to reincarnation. Maybe some other reasons. I can't comment here.
What's the attitude towards Russians? When you meet someone and they ask where you're from, you say Russian.
It is really positive. I would say that the cab drivers, it's kind of an easy example. They are usually asking European person, where are you from? Once they drive you. And usually once a person says he is Russian, the attitude is really good. I was really surprised. And why? It turned out that on Russian side, we don't know the attitude, historical attitude, and the ties between the countries. Because it seems to us that, okay, just some Krishna believers, many of them are traveling to India now. But the story is very simple. Soviet Union supported India several times once India got into tough situations. For instance, during the Pakistan, Bangladesh and India war in 1970 approximately, there was a push what Soviet Union made, moving the fleet inside the Indian Ocean to balance the situation, because the States were supporting Pakistan. And many Indians, despite being young, despite they were not born long ago, I mean, for instance, born in the 90s, who know the history, they appreciate that Soviet Union supported India in this conflict or somewhere else. There are such stories, what I didn't know once I came here, and Indians shared with me.
Once I had a dinner with some Indian friends, they live in Singapore, and we started exchanging like something about school. And so the guy was in his maybe 45, 50 kind of year old. And he was like, yeah, so I read Russian books when I was a teenager at school. So they have actually supply of Russian, a lot of Russian authors. So it was the cultural exchange that we actually don't know. You are an Orthodox Christian.
Yes.
Yeah. For you, it's like that's the part of your life or not really?
For me, it's part of my life, and once I was traveling and once I was making a choice, Bangalore was not easy for me just from this point of view, because I was not able to find an Orthodox church here. There are plenty of Christian churches. There's a huge religious diversity in the south. You can find different Muslims, different Hindu people, Jain, Sikh, but no Orthodox. And frankly, across the whole India, there are just 3 Orthodox priests. In India, it is not allowed for the foreigners to run a mission. It's a criminal offense.
Yeah.
So it's just a local person who decides to be Orthodox Christian, he can run a mission. Finally, I found a guy who is about 1,000 kilometers to the north from here, and he's a priest. He studied in Russia, but he's Indian. And sometimes we invite him here to run a liturgy, maybe one time a year, maybe twice a year, so he's coming. There is a small community consisting of Russians and also Indians, because there are some Indians who decided that Orthodox Christianity is their way of life, and we run a liturgy. So last time it happened in March.
So here there are mainly Catholic and Protestant churches?
There is a huge Catholic community.
Like Indians? Catholic.
Yes. I don't know how many generations they are Catholics, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. But there are churches which were built during the British era over here in the city, and there are kind of fresh Catholic and Protestant churches which are erected by the local Indian Protestant or Catholic communities. Overall, in the south, it's much more religiously tolerant. So there are no tensions between Christians, Muslims, Hindu.
Are people like they kind of intermingle? I mean, other like friends, like Muslim friends and like Hindu friends?
Definitely. Okay, this is my view, because I see a certain level of upper middle class and rich people. I don't know about the poor people, but among those people whom I know, you can't really distinguish a Muslim guy from a Christian guy or a Hindu guy if you don't start asking personal questions. So there will be, and for the women too. They're not crazy about hijabs here and so on. In the higher level families, you cannot identify a family based on religion until you talk to them.
Is it actually the proper question in a conversation, like start talking about religion, or it's more like no topic?
I would say that you can do it once you are in personal relation with someone. And overall, anyhow, better you first build some relationship. I don't know, 5, 10 times you meet with a person, and only after that you can touch the personal issues. And of course, they will be interested too to ask something about our country and so on. Because overall, not everyone in India understands that Russia is a Christian country. Historically, not now. Some of them can think that this is Muslim country, something like that. So they can ask questions, and they're interested. I'm sharing experience, and they're sharing experience. So overall, it's not offensive, but you should not start from this question.
Was it difficult for you to start business here when you arrived, like to set everything up?
It turned out that there are several peculiarities, what I didn't expect, because I had, except to Nigeria, I had Kazakhstan experience, but frankly, Kazakhstan is more or less like Russia, so there is no major peculiarities. But for India, it turned out that there are. My mistake was that I didn't know about it, but right now I know I can share.
Yeah,
so the first thing, you cannot rely on anyone if you don't get into a lengthy relations. What does it mean? The vendors are much more open for discounts. The vendors are much more reliable to provide support, to respond fast if you have long-term relations with them. And really, once you get, some legal company, new legal company for advice, or some auditors to run your books, before you arrive to a certain, let's say, friendly relations, you should not push them. Because over here, their pace of life is slower. And if you push them, it just leads to irritation. It will not lead you to get a result faster. Yeah. Some companies will even break the contract and say, sorry, we can't do it. And the reason that you pushed them, it was your mistake. Of course, you need a result, but you should plan your time scale accordingly, taking into account these local peculiarities.
Yeah, interesting. It's not like in Moscow. If it's like profitable for both parts, they just let's go.
You can propose some, let's say, extra fees, but you don't know whether it will lead to a faster delivery or not.
Okay.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. Yeah. That it's not the same like in Moscow or maybe in UK
what would be the other advice for someone who is like thinking to start a business in India?
Well, this is my way. I can't say this is an advice, but I prefer doing this way, and I'll explain you my way. There are some HR peculiarities on the market. The people are more used to get paid based on their duration, based on the number of years of experience, rather than based on their merits and on their skills. And this is leading to the following, that once you hire some person with 10 or 15 years of experience, he is expecting much higher pay, despite he may not be able to deliver some tasks. And moreover, he is expecting that you are much more respectful to him than to some guy who has 5 or 7 years of experience. Despite, from the professional point of view, a younger person with 7 years of experience may be much more efficient and successful in delivery rather than this guy of 12 years. And there is a conflict. Once you start comparing them, it may lead even that the person gets insulted and tries to explain to you there's an Indian way. Okay, for me there is no Russian way, there is no Indian way. For me it's a way that we earn money, that my company grows and everyone is properly motivated. That's why, to avoid such conflicts, because I had them, I prefer to hire younger professionals and grow them, assist them to develop their professional skills. Because once they see that despite I have 20 plus years of experience, I am very open. I am not trying to say everyone should be respectful for me because I have 20 plus years of experience, blah, blah, blah. No. If I don't know something, I'm open for discussion. I'm open for professional advice from my team. And if you get some younger person in the team, he can follow your way. He can study from you and be more open-minded. And finally, because I judge just by the business success, it leads to better business success for my team. It doesn't matter that this is not Indian style, this is not Indian model. I think professionally, it doesn't matter, is it Russian, Indian or US. There are some things what makes me worried. Okay, it's not worried, it makes the business complicated. And those things, they are regarding the corporate governance in the sense of capital flows cross-border. Because government of India and RBI, they have very strict currency control rules, and you can't make the payments cross-border fast. That means that sometimes it takes 10 days, sometimes it takes 20 days to clear the payment, both sides. If, for instance, we want to bring money from our European headquarters to the Indian accounts, we need to plan it 1.5 months ahead. So if we need to make some payment to overseas vendor, we need again to plan it 1 month ahead. There are the rules, there is a lot of bureaucracy across cross-border payments, but I understand why they're doing it. This is macroeconomically driven because India has a huge trade balance deficit. That means that they are importing much more goods than they are exporting. And there is a gap, I don't know, billions and billions of USD every year. And this gap is covered by the capital inflow. Foreign investors are bringing money to India to build factories, to set up fintechs, to buy stakes in the banks and so on. And if Indian government allowed foreign investors to divest as easy as they invest, so the Indian rupee will be fluctuating. The exchange rate will be it will depreciate.
What do you think, how India changed you, through this couple of years that you've been here? How you changed, personally?
I definitely became more flexible. Because I was not initially able to get to the point that you should be patient sometimes. To get the result, you'd better be patient and push in a calm manner than be aggressive and push hard. Because you will not arrive to result at all. You will just waste your time and you just get frustrated. You don't need, you need the result, so you should be more flexible. This is the first thing. Second thing, I'm not a great fan of Indian food because I don't eat spicy food in general.
Okay, we cut it,
But,
for sure.
but the issue is that I tried a lot. I like Indian, some Indian dishes, and I also like Indian sweets.
Okay.
I
Good
can
enough.
advise you some shops in Bangalore where you can get really delicious Indian sweets.
Yeah, sure. The thing that everyone should experience India, at least for some short period of time, or it's not for everyone.
I would say it's not for everyone because to get used, you need to live here some time. Okay, I have international team. Not everyone are based in India, so we have maybe 4 people supporting us remotely. Like there is guy from Israel, another is guy from Serbia, and so on. And once they arrive here for a business trip, maybe for a week or 2 weeks, like 3 weeks, for them, I see it's really complicated because they cannot understand. Okay, there is no pedestrian walk. Oh yeah, the bike is running just around me. Like it is not safe, but it is safe. I was trying to explain to them, but to get used, you need to stay here longer. For some people, it's fine to travel. For some people, it could be some cultural shock.
I want to ask you about your main principles in life. Is there some important principle that you kind of grow through your life and business and career years?
The first thing, I treat all of the employees and all of the vendors equally. Because in some countries, people distinguish saying, okay, he's from my area or he's from my religion, I treat him better. I am honest with anyone. I will not try to play tricks with anyone, despite maybe he from different religion or I don't like him personally, but still, if we are running a business, we should be treating everyone equally. This is the first thing. The second thing, I try to be direct. I know that in Indian culture, I'm saying try, because I try to be direct means I try to be not offensive. In Indian culture, sometimes saying something directly, even if you're doing it one-on-one with a person, could be treated as too offensive. You should come around, you should come to the point, you should tell some myths instead of coming direct to the problem. And this is the most complicated thing for me. Because in kind of my previous life in Nigeria, in Russia, in UK, in Kazakhstan, it was much more easier to, after some short social talk, to arrive to the point and discuss the problem. Here, sometimes it doesn't work.
What's the meaning of life for you?
In general, of course, it's to save my soul. I'm not very spiritual, so I'm not a kind of spiritual Christian. That's why I'm not a monk. I'm a businessman. So I try my best to support spiritual people. I try my best to support some Christian families, to feel that I'm not living for myself, I'm not living for my family only. That I keep my community, Orthodox Christians, running up.